when you look at somebody like Ronan O'Gara as well, he's been away from Ireland for so long and been so successful, from the Crusaders to Racing to La Rochelle. But the reality is, unfortunately now from a Munster perspective, is that if he ever does come back to Ireland, which I'm sure he will, it probably won't be to Munster. It'll be straight into an Irish role, probably the top job.
Can coaches make the jump from being the head coach at a club to straight to being the head coach at the national side? Because if you look at like the national coaches that are going around, Wales got Gatland back in. We've now seen that Schmidt has gone to the Wallabies. And obviously you got someone like Michael Checker who changes the test team every 3 years or whatever it is. It feels like that it's getting a bit like at the bottom of the English Premier League now, where you got the same faces all just going around and doing the merry-go-round. And like you got someone like Andy Farrell, who, okay, is a relatively new international coach, but he was coaching at international level for a good decade before he got that. Even someone like Steve Hansen was the national coach of Wales and then was an assistant to the All Blacks to Graham Henry, and then got the All Blacks main job. So do you think it's realistic for someone like Ronan O'Gara to go straight from La Rochelle straight to being the top man in Ireland, or do you think he'll have to be an assistant first?
It's a really interesting point, and it's just with Ronan O'Gara, he's just been so successful, and he is really, like, I remember listening to interviews from him when he initially left the professional game to become a professional playing game to become a coach. He always spoke about, you know, this being the long game and wanting to build up that experience. Now, whether or not that's enough experience, you know, to become a top national coach remains to be seen. He just does seem like one of those players, or excuse me, coaches who's just ready for that next step. I could be completely wrong, but it just seems from everything you hear from coaches, from people who work with him, from players, from people who know him, former players who played with him, you know, he's made for this type of thing. But that's a really interesting point. And maybe that will be his next move. Like maybe his next move will be from La Rochelle, you know, to Ireland attack coach and defence coach. Who knows? He's been just so successful at the club game. You know, maybe he'll just be thrown in the deep end at international level, and a coach like that would be ready for it. But yeah. Very interesting point. Yeah,
I wonder if he might go to someone like I'm just picking a team at random here, like a Georgia or someone, and get experience at that level before they get. Now, that's not trying to be disrespectful to Georgia, but Ireland are obviously the number one team in the world right now. So, and I think obviously there'll be a lot of Munster fans who want to see him go back to Munster, but I don't personally think there's much he can do at Munster to make him more qualified for the Ireland job than what he's already done has made him. So, and you look at like Scott Robertson for the All Blacks, he literally won 7 back-to-back Super Rugby titles to be able to get that All Blacks job. That's what it took. Like he got passed over once for it. So yeah, it's just something interesting. And like I say, it just feels like it's getting, like, even Eddie Jones is still getting international jobs. So it's very rare that coaches make that step, at least directly. So it'll be interesting for me to see how that goes. And I'm not sure I can see him going straight into being the top man in Ireland. I think there'll be a step in between for me. Anyway,
and also like Andy Farrell's not going anywhere anytime soon, so it's probably more likely that he'll end up somewhere else, potentially in that top role, and then come back to Ireland. But yeah, that's very
maybe replace Gregor Townsend in Scotland. That would be funny.